Sir Alex Ferguson menjadi pusat perhatian setelah dipecat dari Manchester United. Pep Guardiola, sebagai manajer Manchester City, mengirimkan pesan pada Sir Alex Ferguson dengan menyebutnya sebagai yang terbaik. Setelah merampungkan tugasnya sebagai manajer MU pada 2013, Ferguson tetap jadi bagian dari klub. Pria asal Skotlandia itu menjabat sebagai duta global klub. Dia disebut dapat bayaran 2 juta pound per tahun dari perannya. Pekan lalu, MU memecat Ferguson dari peran sebagai duta klub. Faktor efisiensi jadi salah satu alasannya. Keputusan MU dapat kecaman dari banyak pihak, salah satunya dari legenda hidup MU yakni Eric Cantona. Guardiola lantas disodori pertanyaan soal situasi yang terjadi di MU. Pria asal Spanyol itu memberikan testimoni yang sangat mengesankan tentang Ferguson. Pep Guardiola menilai Ferguson sebagai manajer terbaik. Bukan hanya di Inggris, akan tetapi di dunia. Guardiola meyakini bahwa sulit untuk mencapai level yang pernah diukir Ferguson, termasuk oleh dirinya. Di Inggris dan di seluruh dunia, Sir Alex Ferguson adalah yang terbaik. Untuk waktunya, untuk perubahan tim, dan untuk trofi, ia ucap Guardiola dikutip dari Mirror. Berada dekat dengan salah satu manajer terpenting sepanjang masa sudah lebih dari cukup. Merupakan kehormatan yang luar biasa bagi saya dan untuk semua staf, semua asisten, dan semua pemain yang pernah saya miliki. Ketika orang bilang, Pep adalah salah satu yang terbaik, itu karena para pemain yang pernah saya miliki, asisten manajer, dan asisten pelatih, dan kami punya banyak, tegasnya. Setelah Ferguson, Guardiola mengukir catatan yang luar biasa di Premier League. Bersama Man City, Guardiola merajai persaingan gelar juara. Meskipun begitu, Guardiola tetap menunjuk Ferguson sebagai yang terbaik. Bagi para penggemar United, Sir Alex adalah pilihan terbaik. Tidak yang lain, kata Guardiola. Saya tidak mengatakan bahwa saya manajer yang buruk, kalau tidak, saya tidak akan bertahan lama di sini dan meraih kesuksesan. Namun, menjadi yang terbaik atau bukan yang terbaik, percayalah, itu tidak penting.
Hey, with us now, former player and longtime manager of Manchester United. Hard for me to even say as a Liverpool fan, Sir Alex Ferguson. He's out with his new book, Learning from my life and years at Manchester United. It's great to have you here. Hard to even say it. I'm going to say for American viewers who may not know, my son and I always debate sports. And I said it with gritted teeth that you are probably had the greatest run of any manager in any sport I've ever seen. What you did at Manchester United through the years, even though it killed me as a Liverpool fan, was nothing short of extraordinary. You actually went to Harvard to teach leadership, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. They did a case study on me, and at the time I thought, well, you know, it was a bit vain that to stand in front of a classroom and discuss your career. But my son said to me, how vain can you be at 70 years of age? So that cut the ice, and I did it, and it was fantastic because I love young people. I love the challenge of inspiring young people, and that's where you get it at Harvard, of course, from all over the world. It's such a big brand.
So I know you can't reveal the secrets. I remember somebody went up to a great golfer, Ben Hogan, and they asked him, what's the secret? And he just sneered at him, said, it's in the dirt. And then he went and kept practicing for another 3 hours. But what was your secret? You look at a lot of managers, they can't handle the big talent with all the money, the oversized egos. How did you manage to do it year in and year out, especially with your last championship when nobody even gave you a chance?
Yeah, I think that obviously that when I came to United back in '86, I had a conviction about the proper way to do it at a club with that history, and that was to build a foundation in the club. I think that football club is, because it's a result industry, it's understandable for coaches to concentrate only on the first team because that's what keeps them in a job. I never thought that way. I always thought about building a foundation in the club so there's a strength and a pipeline that can supply the first team with years to go. And because of that, I got great success, and it also gave me longevity. The longevity meant that there was no short-termism. It was always about the future. I could plan 3 and 4 years ahead, and but by doing that you get a consistency. And consistency is a real important issue because your staff and the players know who you are. They know you don't change. and that eradicates confusion. Always think that short-termism, changing managers, changes the whole philosophy of a football club, and new staff come in, new ideas come in, and it goes on, and then the next bunch come in, you know. And so I was fortunate to spend a long time at United, and so therefore having that consistency worked.
You also need to have one strong leader, don't you? I mean, at Man U, you were the strong leader. Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, Brendan Rodgers was a great leader. He was younger, but he had a committee to decide which players would come in and come out. Yeah. You can't really lead that way, can you?
There's a lot of this happening now, this Moneyball thing. Brentford, Brighton, Aston Villa, a lot of them are doing this thing. And I'm not sure that's the right way ahead. I think you have to have trust in your manager. He knows what he's doing. Why give him the job in the first place? Mm-hmm. And he is young, Brendan, obviously, but he has enough knowledge to decide what he needs for his team, the type of player he needs for his team, and you have to trust him really. And I had that trust in United.
Yeah. So I want to keep talking about the book, but I want to go around the league. For a minute, because they're just some fascinating stories. We have to talk about Chelsea and Jose Mourinho, a guy who's considered one of the greats, right behind you.
Fantastic manager.
And yet he's having an absolutely horrific year. He basically challenged Roman last week to fire him if he wanted to, but it would be making a terrible mistake. What do you do? I don't think you were ever in that position, where you're at the peak and then you have a valley that drops as quickly. But we know Jose's one of the best. He'll be back, but is there such pressure now in the league that if you don't produce every year, you even might get fired if you're one of the best?
I was studying Jose on that situation, and then they had this press conference, and I was wondering whether he wanted the confidence of Roman Abramovich by saying that, look, do you really believe in me? This is your opportunity to believe me. And I think he was putting the challenge out to Roman, because I think that at times there's a loneliness about managing a club like Chelsea. I had periods at United, and you feel that you've got to get the support for the people on top of you, the head of the organisation. And I think that was Jose was doing. But I will say this, and I know him well, he will find a solution. Right. Because that's what good managers do, they find a solution. For instance, when we lost the league, 5 times we lost it, we were second, and next year we won it. The solution, we created a solution and made sure it didn't happen again. And I think that he will do that.
And how did you always get buy-in? Because Jose's a great manager, but sometimes you see some players lagging a little here or a little there, and he'll have a press conference and call them out publicly. Something you never really had to do.
I don't believe that.
How did you always get your players? We're talking about the St. Louis Cardinals, which is an extraordinary organization in baseball here, where when somebody becomes a member of the St. Louis Cardinals and they put on that jersey, they run harder, they work out harder, they exercise harder. They're no superstars. They're all, if you think you're a superstar, you're traded the next year. Albert Pujols leaves, and guess what? They win the World Series the next year. Mm-hmm. You did that better than anybody I've ever seen at Man U. How did you get the great stars? And you had some of the greatest ever to buy into the fact that, not that it was your team, but this was Manchester United, and you put on the jersey. It's not about you, it's about us.
Yeah, I think anyone come to United has to live up with the expectation, first of all. And I then make sure they're reminded of that expectation. Also, the history of the club is so rich that it's easy to get integrated into the fabric of it very easily. And you only need to, my first trip abroad with United in 1989, I couldn't believe it, Joe. We come off the plane in Bangkok, thousands of fans. This is before we won anything. Thousands of fans, and they marched in front of the coach all the way into Bangkok. And I said to myself, God, this is unbelievable, this club. Yeah. So when a player comes and we go on a tour, they can't believe it. So they integrate quite quickly into the history and the fabric of the club. And they don't miss out on the expectation. Yeah. It's really important.
Let's talk about your successor at Man U, Moyes. Was he given enough time? Was he given a fair shake, or is it just impossible? Harry Truman. I'm not comparing you to FDR, but Harry Truman said of FDR, heroes know when to die. Basically saying it's impossible
to follow
a legend. The
Yeah.
same thing happened at Alabama. Bear Bryant left.
Yeah.
You just don't want to follow. Was he in a no-win situation because he followed the most successul manager in
Well,
Premier League
everyone
history?
says that the second one is a better one to take on the job. And
Yeah.
unfortunately for David, it didn't work for him. And the Glazers decided quite quickly that Louis van Gaal became available after the World Cup. So the two things worked together, I think.
He's a strange one, by the way.
Louis
Van Gaal. He's a strange
He's
one.
exceptional, isn't he?
He's Dutch.
I love his press conferences. I do. I love him.
He goes on and on. But there is something about him, though. Even though I don't understand what he's doing half the time with his players, you have, if you're going to be running Man U or if you're going to be running Liverpool like Klopp now, you've just got to be a big personality. You just can't care, right?
Absolutely. Strength of personality is so important. And you know, that also his own personal conviction in what he's doing, he knows he thinks is right.
Yeah.
And I think that works, you know. And he's got, of course, experience at Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Ajax. I mean, he's got great experience behind him. Yeah. So I think that he's doing fine, because it's very difficult to bring 5 new players into Manchester United and be successful immediately. But they're third top in the league.
Right.
They're doing okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to take you.
You're worrying about it.
I'm going to take you from the fire to the frying pan, from a Liverpool fan to a Chelsea fan.
All right, so first off, Joe didn't want to compare you to FDR. American audience need to know you're like a combination of Tom Landry and Joe Torre and Red Auerbach all rolled into one.
Well,
that's fair, right?
I think actually there is only one analogy. It's John Wooden.
Yeah,
John Wooden.
John Wooden winning the if you don't follow football, if you don't follow English football, it's like John Wood in the 1960s, and except Alex Ferguson did it over a couple of decades. There is no parallel.
That's why I had to combine them with 3. But
in fact, I am so impressed. I'm going to sign my Liverpool cup for you when I'm done. No, you'll break it.
So, Premier League is one of the best things on the planet, and the quality of play is so good. How do you explain England's failure to do well in the World Cup for so long?
Well, I think I've said this for quite a long time. There's tremendous pressure on the coach, and it's from the press. So every big competition, like the World Cup or the European Championship, the press build them up to such great heights that it's almost impossible to achieve it. And of course, if you look at the World Cup, for instance, Brazil have won it 5 times, Germany have won it 4 times, Italy have won it 3 times. So that's that kind of competition experience you're up against. England won it back in '66, and I've never got near it since then.
Right.
And I think it's a pressure on the coach and the players too.
You think it'll happen anytime soon?
Well, they have got good players.
Yeah.
They have got good players, and I think Roy Hodgson's the type of experienced guy that's needed for that kind of job. He's been around, he's managed Switzerland, and he's managed abroad. He's got the experience to help the situation. He understands the way the press works. So that gives him a better chance than normal.
You were a great player. When you were a great player, did you think about being a coach, or did you only turn to that after you retired as a player?
No, I was actually a toolmaker. I was in engineering. I was part-time at football. I went full-time at 22, and I made my mind up I was not going back to engineering. So I took all my coaching badges. I made sure I was going to be prepared to stay in the game. I became a coach at 32 years of age. I had that strong belief that I could do well, but I prepared to do it. Not wait. A lot of footballers wait until they're 33, 34 before they decide, oh, I think I'll stay in the game. That's not enough. You have to prepare to stay in the game.
Who's the most underrated player in the world today?
Underrated?
Yeah.
Oh. I would find it difficult to think about who the underrated players were, but you have to look at the ones who light up the stage. Ronaldo and Messi, to me, are the best. And they're the best because they're very, very seldom injured. I know that Messi's got an injury now. I can't remember when Messi got an injury before. And they play every week, and their scoring record is incredible. They show courage in the football field. They're never intimidated by opponents. That's why they're considered the best. There are many, many players on the the level below that, you could say, in some cases, I may underrate them or someone else underrates them. But at the end of the day, the bar is always set high for me, and I think that Messi and Ronaldo demonstrate that very well.
Is Ronaldo the best player you ever managed?
Oh, without question.
I can't stand him. Tell me what I just hate him. I hate the guy. Tell me what I'm missing. Give me a story about Ronaldo that will make me like him a little bit more now that he's safely in Spain.
I'll tell you a good story about him and why he's the best. Up there beside Messi. We had a game on the Saturday, and Friday is normal. The players will practice for a half an hour after the training session. It's pouring rain. The pitches are soft, heavy. And I said to Ronaldo, come on, in. We've got this game tomorrow. He said, okay, boss, okay, boss. So I get in my office, look out my window. Do you know what he did? He ran AstroTurf.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So I couldn't complain
For
to
somebody that great. You know, I actually, Brendan Rodgers was here last year and was saying a year and a half ago and was talking about Suarez. And it was after one of his incidents. I said, the guy's crazy. Is he bad for Liverpool? And he said basically the same thing about Suarez. He said, my biggest problem with Suarez is I can't slow him down. He'll do anything. He'll run through a wall. It's just, isn't that something when you have somebody who is great like Ronaldo, who just wants to get better? Yeah, and also with a work ethic about them and desire. I think I had several players who weren't really in the same platform or level as Ronaldo as a player, but they had something in there. Yeah. It made them great. I've heard of Daniel Sturridge. Give him a chance to play a game or take a warm bath. He's got a good signing, Daniel. He will take a warm bath. Yeah. So David Beckham says you probably miss screaming at players and refs. Tell us about David Beckham. What made David Beckham was his great desire. As a kid, he practiced and practiced. He was fantastic. He's now, we're going to meet up. In November the 14th, he's going to be captain in UNICEF team against Europe, and I'm going to be his manager. Oh wow! You're going to yell at him? Everything will go fine to substitute him. To take him off. Take him off. Looking forward to that. That'll cause him. Can you? Let's expand out. We absolutely love the beautiful game, but let's expand this out because the importance of this book is not because a lot of people that are going to be reading it aren't going to be able to be manager of a team like Man U. But apply these principles to somebody that is running a business, running a TV network, running a country, running a state. Talk about leading and leadership and what you learned that's transferable to other fields. Well, I think that the thing I was talking about earlier on, consistency. I think that applies itself in business. I think that your staff like to know who's coming in that main office every morning. And also really important, I was asked at Harvard